Funny how they never care about the old you. I'm blow up like I'm supposed to. After I blow up, act like I don't know you.
The story of how I gave birth is actually crazy. Like, I have one daughter, if you did not know. She's 1 year old right now. She's my only child, and like I said, I gave birth in an elevator. That was my birth experience. I did not have any medicine. So let me take it from the top, because the story, every time I tell it, people are just like, what? And it's true. It's 100% true. Like, I'm not making none of this up. I could have never, like, I almost hate that this happened to me, because I wanted to have a normal birth, like with people in there and her dad in there and my best friend. And I ended up giving birth all by myself. Like, that was never part of the plan. But my life is crazy, so like literally nothing surprises me. So when I was 36 weeks and 3 days pregnant, I took my maternity leave from OSU, which is where I was working at the time. And OSU, if you don't know where I live, is the Ohio State University. And that's where I was working. So I took my maternity leave that Friday. And also that same day, I had a doctor's appointment at the OB. And they checked to see how far I was dilated. And I was 5 centimeters dilated. And I was like not contracting at all. Like, and they're like, wow, like usually when people are 5 centimeters dilated, they have contractions. Like, that's, you get to 9 centimeters and you're ready to push the baby out. I was 5 and I had not even realized it, so that was crazy. But I was also doing the baby mama dance. Like, I was so pressed to get my daughter out. I was getting it, like dropping it blood, trying to get her out. So that's probably why I was 5 centimeters dilated too. I also was really active throughout my pregnancy. Like, I wasn't really lazy. I worked literally up until the weekend I gave birth. And I walked a lot. I walked every single day that I was pregnant, literally. So yes, my doctor says, like, you're 5 centimeters dilated. I can't believe you didn't notice. And I'm like, yeah, this is like my first baby. I don't know what to expect, but anyways, so she says, you could go into birth, like give birth at any second. So you need to have your hospital bag packed and you need to be ready. Like, literally, she can come tonight. So I'm like, I never told her I was doing the baby mama dance because I didn't want her to be like, that's why you're 5 centimeters. Like, no. At this point, I just could not make it to 40 weeks pregnant at all. There was no way. I was doing everything. I was bouncing on the edge of the bed. I was eating pineapples. I was doing everything that they said that would induce your pregnancy. Like, I was ready to get her out and be a mom and see her. So, and I also didn't want to stay at home for 4 weeks on maternity leave, because like it would just drive me crazy, like just waiting for a baby. So I was ready to go. That night, me and my best friend, we go and we walk around a little bit and we're trying to like induce my labor and trying to get this baby out. And I'm like so pressed. So we ended up going to her grandmother's house, and we tell her grandmother like, oh, I'm 5 centimeters dilated. And she's like, that baby's gonna come any second. You really need to be in the hospital. I'm like, oh my gosh, like she's so right. Like, we need to go to the hospital. Like, keep in mind, I was not contracting. So I wasn't like, it was like so normal. I didn't feel anything. Like, it was weird. It wasn't what I expected at all. So me and my best friend, we ended up going to OSU, which is where I was going to deliver her. And they watched me for a few hours, and I was never contracting the whole time, but I was 5 centimeters dilated, which is just crazy. So since I wasn't contracting, I technically wasn't in labor and they couldn't admit me. But they were like, if you have ever been pregnant, you know that they check your cervix to like measure your dilation. And that's, it's so painful. Literally, it's so painful. And so they kept checking me to see if I was dilated. And it just hurts so bad. Me and my daughter's dad, we were staying with his best friend, who is also my daughter's goddad, and his mom. It was his mom's house, so that's another story. But we were staying with my daughter's godfather and the godfather's mom, and she was like a mom to me. Like, she was really loving and helpful, and I appreciate her being there when this went down, because now the story is about to get cray. Fast forward to like 3:30 a.m. I wake up out of my sleep and my daughter's dad is in the bed. He is all the way asleep. He didn't even notice that I had gotten up. I had gotten up like so swiftly, like, I have to go because I'm in pain. And when I woke up, like my stomach was like cramping, but like honestly, like I've had period cramps worse than that feeling. So it wasn't anything that I was like concerned about. I was just like, okay, my stomach hurts. I probably need to use the restroom. So I get up and go to the restroom. Okay, this part is gonna start to get a little bit graphic. So parental discretion advised, because I'm gonna try to say this as modestly as I can without, yeah. I get up and I go to the toilet and I'm sitting on the toilet and it literally feels like I have to go number two. Like, but keep in mind, everyone says contractions are like, oh, so bad. And I've literally had period cramps worse. Nothing's happening, but then my stomach starts to hurt a little bit more and I get in, so I run some hot bath water because that's what usually helps my cramps any other day. So I get in the bath, it's a hot bath. As soon as I get into the bathtub, I kid you not, I broke out in sweats and I threw up in the bathtub. Like it was like wild. Like I never have felt anything. I've never felt so sick on impulse. This is gross, but I was like climbing out of the bathtub. I couldn't even control myself. I'm trying to get to the toilet and I'm climbing out of the bathtub trying to throw up in the toilet and I'm literally like shooting throw up everywhere like as I'm getting out of the bathtub. It was the worst, craziest, nastiest ever moment of my life. And so when I get back to the toilet, if I sit on the toilet and blood starts like coming out and I'm like, okay, something is going on here. But keep in mind, like this is all within the time span of like 15 minutes, maybe 10 less. Like this all happened really fast. So I'm like sweating, about to pass out. Like my stomach is hurting. Like everybody's asleep. Like I just wanted to lay on the ground and freaking die. The friend's mom is awake and she's in the hallway and she sees me like limping back to my bedroom and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, like I just threw up in there and if like I have to use the restroom. And she's like, you're in labor. And I'm like, no, I have to use the restroom. Like I know this feeling because if you've ever given birth, it feels like pressure. Like it's just like everything in you just goes like I don't know how to explain it, but it feels like you have to use the restroom. And I swear no one could tell me I did not have to use the restroom. Like I'm a grown woman. I know what it feels like to use the restroom and I had to use it. And I should have been listening, but you know, that's life. When she realizes I'm in labor, she goes to wake up my daughter's dad because he's asleep. All this happened in like 10 minutes. He's still asleep and she wakes him up. She's like, get up, your girlfriend is in labor. She's having the baby. I'm like, I just have to use the restroom. You guys are crazy. Like, I don't know why I thought I had to use the restroom, but I was in labor for real. So he gets up and he is panicking, like, and if you know me and him, he gets on my nerves. Like, he is an airhead. And like everything, his panicking was really irritating me in this moment. Like, you're not even the one who is going through this. Chill out, okay? Be strong. I've made my way back to the toilet because I am so determined I have to use it. Like no one can tell me anything else. So after I like kind of realized that I was in labor, which is like 5 minutes later after like a lot of other weird stuff was happening, I hobbled to the living room. Like at this point I'm in pain. And I like hobbled to the living room and I sat on the couch. And when I sat on the couch, my water broke. And your water breaking is literally like just something you will not forget. Like it's like a freaking waterfall, okay? Like in it, like I thought a water breaking would be like a drip. No, it's like my labor was progressing really fast. Like I had only been awake for 15 minutes and all of this was happening. Like when I woke up, I was not even feeling that bad. So from when I woke up at 3:30 to 15 minutes later, my water breaking, and I'm like literally pushing my daughter out on the toilet because I think I have to use the restroom. They called the ambulance because they realized, like, okay, this is actually crazy. They called my best friend, and they called my mom and my dad and my grandmother and told them, like, Amari's in labor, she's about to go to the hospital. But of course no one would ever suspect like my labor would be that fast. They put me in the ambulance. I lived like 10 or less minutes from the hospital, I swear, like literally right around the corner from the hospital, OSU. And so when I'm in the ambulance, they didn't let my daughter's dad come with me, which was irritating. But at that point I was in so much pain, and the pressure was building. That feeling of me having to use the restroom was actually the feeling of my daughter coming down. So when I'm in the ambulance, everyone else is just driving up there, gonna meet me up there, my daughter, including my daughter's dad. And so I'm in the ambulance and I'm telling them, like, I really feel like I have to push, like she's right here. The ambulance people were literally telling me, like, don't push. And I'm like, how am I not going to push? And keep in mind, the whole ambulance, God bless them. Like, I really want to meet this ambulance team again with my daughter and just tell them thank you for helping me through my labor. But it was a whole group of men. How are you going to tell me not to push? You don't even know what I'm feeling, literally. She's right here. I'm telling you this. Like, you would never understand that feeling. So, and then at this point, I'm in so much pain. You cannot have no ibuprofens or Advils when you're in labor, just epidural, right? And they're not doctors, so they can't give me anything. They're just EMT. And so I'm like literally begging for ibuprofen. That's how much pain I was in. Ambulance ride was really fast. The hospital was like, I want to say like 7 minutes. I got there in like 7 minutes. And they took my leggings off and covered me up because, like I said, my water broke and there was a lot of things going on down there. So when they take the stretcher out of the ambulance car and they were rolling me into the hospital, I'm like, I cannot hold this feeling anymore. She's right here. When you give birth, the baby pushes down on its own. Well, at least mine did. And there's not really much you can do to stop that. Like, at that point, that's a whole other human being. They're doing what they're naturally supposed to do. How can I stop my child from getting out of me? By the time we roll into the hospital, because if you know Ohio State University Hospital, the maternity ward is like on the 6th floor or something like that. So you have to roll in and go to the elevators, and it's just like a freaking journey. We roll into the elevator on the stretcher, and when I get in the elevator, like I'm like, I cannot not push, and they're telling me hold it, and I'm like, I can't. Like, my baby is gonna just come out on her own, even if I don't push at this point. She's ready to go. So I literally pushed 2 times on the elevator just naturally, because that pressure on your body, like, you can't hold it in. So I pushed twice and pop, my daughter in the elevator. With the EMT, there is my baby in the elevator. And it was so freaking crazy. I had on this pink sweater from like Victoria's Secret Pink. I still have this shirt to this day. I'll probably never throw it away. I just remember, like, at this point I was in shock. Like, did I just give birth in an elevator by myself with no medicine and no doctor and no family around me? Like, what? They gave me my daughter. They laid her on my chest, and the EMTs cut the cord. And I just remember being like rolled down the hallway of maternity ward carrying my newborn on my chest, and all the doctors and nurses were coming out of the like rooms they were in, and it felt like a movie. Like, so if you can picture, I'm going down the hallway on a stretcher carrying a newborn on my chest, and doctors are coming out on the sides, like, and I'm just like in shock. I'm just so in awe at my baby, like, that I just gave birth that fast. It was just like slow-mo to me. But my daughter was born at 4:50 a.m. approximately. Because I gave birth in the elevator, we did not have the official time. We had to approximate it. We rolled into when I finally got into the room, when I finally got rolled into the room, all these doctors and nurses are rushing in, like checking on me, checking on her, like it was like madness. Like my daughter's dad was there, my best friend was already there, like they're at the door, the doctors won't let them in yet, they're peeking in like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, she's here. It was so crazy. I woke up at 3:30 a.m. and I gave birth at 4:50 a.m. what approximately, and it was so fast. Like I never got an epidural, I never got anything. Like the craziest moment of my life. Of course, me giving birth to my first child will be the craziest thing I've ever done. Like if you know me, everything in my life is crazy, so it only makes sense that that was crazy. I always wish I could relive that day. It was just so much fun. I mean, she was healthy. I gave birth at 36 weeks, 5 days, and my baby was like 5 pounds, 5 ounces. And even though that she was born like 3 weeks early, we only were in the hospital for 2 nights. She could breathe on her own, she could eat. She was perfect, like literally a perfect baby. Like it's the most empowering thing I've ever done. I will tell this story for the rest of my life. I will forever hold it dear to my heart. 19 years old, I gave birth by myself without a doctor, with no medicine. Who do you know? For my future children, I'm definitely doing a home birth because I want to anyways, and I know I can. I basically did that with my first child. This is my little elevator baby. Her name is Delilah. What are you doing? She is so funny. She is supposed to be asleep, but I know she's sleeping. She's just waiting for mommy to go to bed. And just stay tuned and subscribe because we have so much to tell you guys. Thank you for watching. We are going to bed. And see you guys.